talking about restoring gut health to reclaim your good health. I know you have heard that, poor health, all disease begins in the gut, right? But what causes us to have a bad gut? People don't really talk a whole lot about that. And there are multiple things that cause it. One of the things that folks may not be aware of is that the more toxic you are, the more you attract parasites. Tonight's talk is going to dwell a lot on parasites and about toxic loads. So I usually refer to the old CSI show. If you guys ever watched CSI, there was a guy on there who was famous for being able to predict the cause of death of a corpse they would find by what insects had invaded that corpse. And that's, well documented. That is very true. That's what happens. Well, before we pass away, as our bodies begin to deteriorate, we begin to be invaded. Candida, parasites, opportunistic infections. So the worse our condition is, the more these opportunistic, microbes and critters can get to us. So I want you to always think about that. Toxins cause degeneration. Degeneration makes you attractive to and unable to fight parasites. Okay, so with that happy news, here we go. We're going to start with some statistics. So cancer rates have been rising and rising and rising. We started a war on cancer many years ago. We're not winning that war. In less than 20 years, the cancer rate among the Americans is expected to be 1 in 2 people. And I would venture to say there's probably not a person on this webinar who hasn't been touched by a friend or family member or even themselves who have dealt with cancer. And this is, a rising statistic. Speaking of rising statistics, this one is looking at how much chronic disease we have in the US. And you can see on the bottom here, we go every 5 years, and these are how many millions of people have chronic disease. And we are just up, 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 right? And it's projected to continue that way. In 2010, over half of Americans had at least one chronic condition, and 31.5% had multiple chronic conditions. Now, what are we talking about with a chronic condition? Things like diabetes and arthritis, autoimmune conditions, ADD, ADHD, dementia, Alzheimer's. Chronic condition just means something that when you have it, medically, it's just considered that you're always going to have it, and we just have to try to control it as best we can. Speaking of that, this is why the average number of prescriptions per capita in the US has been rising. So you guys notice the graphs I'm showing you, they're all going to go up like this. So what is the root cause of our worsening health? That's what we want to know. And why are we not winning the war on cancer? Because we're trying to win it with early detection and drugs, but that's not how we win it. We have to find out what's causing it to happen. Why are people, getting sick like this? Well, chemicals play a big role. So according to the EPA, 86,557 chemicals have been used in the US since they began measuring. Today, or as of February of this year, 41,864 of these chemicals are still in active use, but that doesn't mean that's all we have. You look at this over 86,000, a lot of those persist in the environment for a long time. We used to not really think about how we were dumping things or what the ramifications were going to be. It was just, better living through chemistry, right? And so we added more and more and more. This is tragic to me. The average infant in the US is born with over 200 measurable toxins in their blood at birth. We're talking plastics, flame retardants, heavy metals, um, all kinds of petroleum products. This is just the world we live in. At University of California, San Francisco, and I apologize, you guys, I got to get women, included 55 that have never been reported in people, and 42 that are mystery chemicals. Excuse me. We have no idea where they came from. We have no idea what they were used for. Insane. This again is a graph. It goes like this. This is how many vaccines, excuse me, a 1-year-old has had in the US. So this is just the number of vaccines that have been delivered by the time a child is age 1. You can see this as well. The average child receives 25 vaccines by age 1, 44 by age 6. These tiny bodies do not have the ability to detoxify the way our mature adult bodies do. So when we give them all these toxins at such a young age, they don't have the ability to get rid of them very well. Here's another graph that's going to do this. This is pesticide use. And again, you can see the timeline on the bottom. We have just escalated. Some of this is agriculture. Some of this is home use, but it's out of control. Now, glyphosate, as I take my trusty peppermint oil, that those of you who see me as clients, you've probably heard about peppermint oil. We'll see if this will calm things down a little bit so I can carry on. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup and other weed killers. And when glyphosate came on the market, it was thought that it could not harm people. So glyphosate works to kill a weed by destroying a metabolic pathway called the shikimate pathway. And people don't have this. So the idea was, hey, great, we can spray everything. It's really not going to be a problem. We're not going to hurt anybody. It's only these weeds, that will get affected. But decades later, surprise, there are a few things that glyphosate does in the human body that we just did not know to begin with. Number one, even though people do not have the shikimate pathway in their body, the microbes in our gut do have a shikimate pathway. So when we're exposed to glyphosate, we're actually killing the friendly microbes in our gut. Second thing, you've heard of the term leaky gut probably. We have a woven barrier in our gut. These is called a tight juncture, and only nutrients and water are supposed to be able to be reabsorbed into the bloodstream from the gut. But glyphosate has been shown to loosen up the tight junctions. So it's one of the reasons that leaky gut has become such a horrible problem. And then finally, a researcher named Stephanie Seneff, I've had the privilege of hearing her speak at conferences. She's amazing. She has seen there's an amino acid called glycine that glyphosate is so close to that it can displace it in our bodies. And so amino acids are the building blocks of protein. Almost everything we're built out of is built of protein. So when you go messing with this glycine, who knows what kinds of issues we're going to cause, in the body. So these are only a very few examples of what we have going on to create a decline in our gut and a decline in our overall health. But I promise, remember, there's going to be good news at the end. So I will tell you how to deal with this. And we're going to talk gut. So besides chemicals, the one other thing that you need to know about is that your gut ecology has good guys like this little happy fellow and this one, but it also has bad guys like these. the trick is you want the good guys to be in control. You're never, ever, ever going to get rid of all the bad guys. A lot of them are supposed to be there, but the balance is supposed to be in favor of the good guys. Now, in addition to the chemicals that I've been talking about that can wreak havoc with the gut, it's important to understand you come into the world with a certain balance in your gut, and you get that from your birth mother. So if she did not have a good gut balance, she didn't have it to pass on to you. If you were bottle fed instead of breastfed, that's where part of this comes from. So you were not able to get that, through the breastfeeding either. And then also, if you were born by cesarean section instead of vaginal birth, we get a lot of that coming through the birth canal. And by the way, I'm going to do questions and answers at the end, but let's talk some more about the gut. Parasites. These are some of the symptoms that you can have that can be caused by parasites. Not all of them are, but they can be caused by parasites. And so if you take a look at this list, you're probably going to find yourself on there somewhere. Years ago, it used to be wisdom that you just did a parasite cleanse once a year. It's like country wisdom. However, as we've become more modernized, we've, lost that idea that we could be, as gross as the animals and that we would not have parasites, but we do. And so if you do not take care of them, then it's a problem. And what happens, so let's take this audience, right? If you're taking a look at this and you're thinking, okay, so if I cleanse parasites, then what happens? Because a lot of people have had the experience. Let's take Candida as an example. That's an opportunistic fungus in the body. Again, just like that old CSI thing, as the body deteriorates, these opportunistic infections, including parasites, are able to get a hold of us and keep a hold of us and then perpetuate their own life cycle. Well, why do people struggle so long with Candida? It's because they try to kill it, but because the toxic loads are there, they get reinfected. So now take bigger parasites. Those bigger parasites hold toxins themselves. So if you go through a detox, program, but you do not take care of the parasites, they just spit those toxins they've been carrying right back into you. You guys, they want to survive, they're in this to win it as well as we are. And so they're going to do everything they can to help perpetuate their survival. So if you recognize yourself on this list, it's probably not a big surprise that you could have parasites. Sorry to be the one to tell you. All right, so now I'm going to open a can of worms. If you are squeamish, you will want to look away. I will tell you when I'm done with these slides. It's only going to be like 3 or 4, but I'm going to show some actual parasites, pictures of parasites that clients of mine have sent me as they're going through cleanse. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff that can live in your body. Okay, so here we go. Look away if you can't handle it. There, now this is where I can imagine people at home. Oh, whoa. So these are worms. This is a worm. You've got these segments of larger parasites that are coming out. This is called a ropeworm, and a ropeworm, I know it's pretty gross. And it also holds other smaller parasites, and they can be huge, and they can exist in the body for years and years. This to me was one of the most disgusting ones I've seen. Now this guy is probably about 2.5 inches long. You can see it's on a paper towel. This is like the head where it was attached, holding on to the bowel wall, and then it this is the body with all these streams. I mean, this person was being robbed of their nutrition and their energy. And then this last one is really remarkable too. What is that? So you see this part. This is the lining that can develop over time on the inside of your intestinal tract. They call it plaque, but it's not the same as the plaque that develops in your arteries. This is a lining, and you can see this is fecal matter, okay, trapped there. Normally what happens is when you have bowel movements, this fecal matter moves through the lining, you eliminate it. You never know the lining is there. Again, it's blocking your ability to absorb nutrition. It's harboring tiny parasites. It's bringing you down. Okay, everybody, it's safe to open your eyes now if you were squeamish. We're done with the bad pictures. And as creepy as those bad pictures are, again, these are, and I've had them out of myself too. It's creepy, but it's fascinating. And one of my clients said, I've seen some things that I cannot unsee, but like we always say, better out than in, right? So we want to get these things out. Now, it is entirely possible that you can do a parasite cleanse and never see any visible parasites because, as this says on the bottom, 70% of parasites are microscopic. They're not visible to the naked eye. So you just have to know when you're doing this, this is what's going to happen. Now, you guys, I want you to understand that this is not new information. So when I studied biological medicine back in the 90s, this is what we learned. We learned, hey, as the body deteriorates, these opportunistic infections and parasites can take over. We learned, hey, these larger parasites can hold Lyme disease organisms, can hold Epstein-Barr virus, can hold toxins, and reinfect the person. So we learned all of that, but the problem is there were not wonderful, dependable ways to get them out of your body. So I have done parasite cleanses myself through the years. I've done them with my clients through the years. Never, ever, ever have I seen come out what we are seeing come out with people with these particular cleansing products. So we're going to talk about cleaning house. First of all, it's important to know that, and Cellcore is the name of the company. This is their logo. They have done a wonderful job with educational resources. And when I saw this, when I first got exposed to Cellcore, I said, okay, good. This is exactly what I learned in biological medicine all those decades ago. And this is why people feel bad when they detox sometimes. And people say, oh, you have to feel worse before you feel better and all of that. No, that's not really true. So there is a funnel that works like this. Your cells, your organs and tissues, your lymphatic system, which is, you've probably had swollen lymph glands before if you were fighting a cold or something. Those are the little filters in your lymphatic system. Your lymph system goes throughout your body and helps clean everything out. Liver and bile ducts and colon. So what happens when you overwhelm this funnel with detox, and at the very bottom, this cannot keep up with it, the colon, the liver and bile ducts, this is what happens. You begin to have lung problems, asthma, bronchitis. Gee, I get sick every 3 months. What's the deal? Your kidneys are not get backed up. You can have high blood pressure. The kidneys regulate your blood pressure. They get overly stressed trying to get things out of your body. Your skin, all these rashes, eczema, psoriasis, all of these things are indicators that your drainage funnel is overwhelmed. So there is a sequence that you want to go through when you detox, and it's not an overnight thing. People used to think, okay, I did a cleanse and it's okay. Well, that's good. That handled some things, but you've got a remarkable amount of stuff that you've stored up in your body over the years. So this is how the general idea of detox goes. In the first phase, you want to work on energy and you want to work on drainage, which is your ability to excrete. If you've worked with me as a client, those homeopathic drops that you take, we call them drainage drops because that's what they're doing. They're supporting all those functions. Then you go to work on the gut and you start cleaning some of these critters out and taking some burden off your immune system. Once you've killed some critters, now you want to support your body's function and go ahead and start pulling some of those toxins out. And then you're going to go kind of back and forth between these two. So you kill critters, you pull out toxins, you support your immune system. Kill critters, pull out toxins, support your immune system. So we're going to talk solutions now. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I can't wait to see some of the comments. Has anybody been posting anything in the chat? You people, come on. I can't believe nobody's been disgusted by all of this. Maybe you have and you just didn't post it. Anyway, I hope your eyes were opened a little bit. So I want to talk to you about things that you can do to help facilitate a graceful detoxification in your body. Number one, water. Good old H2O. It's amazing how many people know they should drink water and don't drink water. While you're detoxifying, you want to use distilled water. This one comes from Kroger, but a lot of places have it. What I want to illustrate here is that when you buy distilled water, when you're going to detox, you want to get the hard, clear plastic. Okay, thank you. Some people have been posting that they were disgusted. Yes, it is very disgusting. And when it is coming out of your own body, it's even more disgusting. Yes, Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr. Will these solutions help with these issues? Absolutely, because if you don't handle the parasites, like I mentioned, they're going to auto-infect you. And that's a missing piece in a lot of protocols. So I'm also going to do a question and answer period. We're going to be done with the main presentation in just a few minutes. Happy to answer as many questions as you guys want. But water is fundamental, so that's where you start. Second, exercise. Just get your circulation going. A walk, if there's something you enjoy, like riding a bicycle, taking a class, dancing to good music, whatever it is, 30 minutes a day, you've got to circulate to support that drainage funnel and get things out. Then for extra credit, I love skin brushing. So here's a little skin brush. Here's a long-handled skin brush. And when you brush your skin, you flake off the top dead layer of skin cells and you move the lymph. And so it allows greater amounts of toxicity to come out through your skin. They nickname skin the third kidney because it takes such a burden off of your kidneys when you skin brush. And it's very simple to do. The main lymphatic dumping ground is right here where your collarbones are. So you're always going to brush working toward your heart. Start from your feet, work up. Takes a couple of minutes before you bathe or shower. You do want to do it dry because you do want to flake those top dead layers of skin cells off. But skin brushing is remarkable. Once you get in the habit of doing it, it really doesn't take long and it makes a big difference. It also helps with cellulite, so there's extra incentive to do it. And even though it seems like it would be rough on your skin, and at first you're going to get some flaky stuff off, you end up with so much smoother skin in the long run. So skin brushing, then fiber. Super important that you have enough fiber in your diet. What is enough? 35 grams a day. Most Americans get 7 to 10. So we are really missing fiber. So vegetables are a main source of fiber. Nuts, not nuts and seeds, but seeds like pumpkin seed, flax seed, chia seed, those contain fiber. Beans, legumes. Choose what works for you. You know, some people are sensitive to different foods, so obviously, you know, work within the parameters of what your body can tolerate. But veggies are the fundamental. Just eat we're supposed to get 5 servings of veggies every day. Very few people do that. And if you need to take a fiber supplement, fair enough, take a fiber supplement, but let's keep everything moving on through. Then the next thing I want to talk to you about is we talk about all disease begins in the gut. Well, the gut begins in the mouth. And so this is a wonderful, wonderful practice. Whoops. This is 3% food grade hydrogen peroxide. This a simple water pick. You don't have to have a super expensive one. You just, you know, handheld little less expensive one is fine. What you're going to do is use 1 part hydrogen peroxide to 2 parts water in your water pick. And then of course, just use your water pick regularly, because we're trying to get the bad guys and good guys balanced. The hydrogen peroxide works against the bad guys. You've got tons of microbes in your mouth. And if you can get rid of the bad guys, you're not swallowing them all day long, you know, and making your gut work harder. So that's a cool little trick to add to your routine. And then Rachel says, do you need to use distilled water with the hydrogen peroxide? Yes, ma'am. Wonderful question. Glad you brought that up. Yes, you do need to do distilled water. Then finally, I'm going to talk about the parasite products that created such lovely results that you guys all enjoyed earlier. And the company is called Cellcore. Now, it's very interesting. So I belong to a group of practitioners called Health Experts Alliance. Some are naturopaths like me, some are chiropractors, some are medical doctors. It's all different types of holistic practitioners. And so I've been attending this group's, you know, seminars for about 6 years now, and they're always very informative. Well, what happened is the 2 gentlemen who founded this company, Cellcore, met through Health Expert Alliance, and they were introduced to each other. And the founder of HEA, Isaac Jones, he's a chiro here in the Atlanta area. He said, "Hey, you guys are so similar." Like he knew they were all, you know, gut geeks. Like Jay Davidson is one of them. His wife had Lyme disease, and so he got really heavily into the Lyme space. And then Todd Watts was really into parasites. So when Isaac hooked them up together, they started brainstorming. And so they spent like a couple of years reviewing each other's research and that kind of thing. And they decided to collaborate and form this company called Cellcore. So this is kind of the flagship product. And this is a part of the beginner cleanse that I'm going to be telling you guys about. So if you want to take a step with this, the easiest step to take is a beginner cleanse. Like I said, let's not overwhelm your drainage funnel. Let's just get yourself a little bit going on this thing and see how you do. Para One is actually Todd Watts' brainchild. It is the seed from a Mimosa pudica tree. And the seed does 2 things. It's sort of like chia seeds. Like if you put it in water, it gets a bit gelatinous, but it has the seed there as well. But Mimosa pudica has the interesting characteristic of being paralytic to parasites. So it paralyzes these guys. That's why this works so well. They can't hold on to you so much. And some people just only use Para One and get incredible things happening, right? So that is a brilliant, brilliant product, and is like everybody that wants to do a cleanse, you would do Para One. Now, the second product, and by the way, I'm going to put a link in the chat where I've laid everything out and how you can order this stuff if you want to do it. Bowel Mover is the next in the lineup. If you do not go 2 to 3 times a day, you want to add Bowel Mover to it because you want to be sure you're getting everything out. And even if you go once a day and it's a good one, add the Bowel Mover, because the Para one is going to be gelatinous and so forth. And you really want, you don't want that stuff having a slow exit. You want a good exit. It's not going to give you diarrhea or anything like that. It's just going to be sure that you are actually, eliminating the way you should. Yeah, Andrea says that was so nasty. Those worms are sickening. Yes, they are. Let's boot them out. Let's get rid of them. Now, the next part of the cleanse that you might choose to do is this product called CT Minerals. Now, CT stands for Carbon Technology. A lot of people on this webinar tonight are very knowledgeable and experienced. And so you know that charcoal, for example, which is a carbon, can bind to lots of toxins in the body and pull them out. This you want to add to the protocol if you're chronically tired. So if your energy is low, you find yourself fatigued a lot, add the CT Minerals. It's going to give you more minerals yourself, but it's also going to help you be able to do a detox better as you do it. I'm actually not talking a lot about the carbon products of this company tonight, just because of time. You can see Parasites alone take a long time to deal with, but I will be doing another webinar where I will dive into the carbon technology, because as you look at that roadmap to health and you talk about full body detox, that's what you use, is the different carbon products. Now, the final thing on the beginner cleanse that is optional is Para 2. So Para 1 is the mimosa pudica seed. Para 2 is various anti-parasitic herbs. This one you want to add if you've had a history of being outside the country. Maybe you've done mission work, maybe you've traveled to Mexico or other places, numerous times. That's important, even if it was years ago. I know I got a lot of horse people that come to see me. If you're a horse person, if you love your dog and they give you like kisses on your face, if you're a raw sushi eater, all of those things mean you might want to add Para 2 to the regimen that you do.